It's official. New York has had enough of your scrolling habits. In a lawsuit spanning approximately 327 pages, the city has sued Meta, Google, Snapchat and TikTok. They are accusing these platforms of fueling a youth mental crisis and turning children into screen-addicted zombies. The complaint was filed in Manhattan federal court. It alleges that the companies exploited the psychology and neurophysiology of youth to keep them hooked for profit. The complaint states that 77.3% of New York City high school students and 82.1% of girls admit to spending 3 or more hours a day on screens. This includes TV, computers and smartphones. New York's health commissioner even went on to describe social media as a public health hazard earlier this year. The lawsuit names the city school district and NYC Health Plus hospitals as co-plaintiffs, both of which say they are footing the bill for the psychological wreckage left behind. City officials said the fallout isn't just a few missed homework assignments. It's costing schools and hospitals millions to clean up the emotional mess. The usage of these platforms is contributing to sleep loss, chronic absenteeism, and risky behaviour. One grim example, the rise of subway surfing, where kids literally ride on top of moving trains for views.
Flashback.
Senator Hartke, are you satisfied with the progress being made on your hearings on violence in television?
I'm not opposed to the study which has been proposed. However, I asked for hearings in front of the Commerce Committee. I asked that these hearings be public, that they be televised so that people could have a direct understanding of the connection between violence on television and violence in the streets. These hearings could be similar to the Kefauver hearings on crime, which alerted the nation to crime. These hearings could be similar to the Fulbright hearings on television on Vietnam, which alerted the nation to the question of the Vietnam danger. I would like to see full hearings.
Well, welcome to another edition of Man with the Show. This is the Big Apple edition, Tuesday. Monday was a holiday, obviously. Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day, not Indigenous Day. It is Columbus Day. And, we can go into a lot of argument of, the differences. What people want to put. The real history of this is basically it is a day of celebrating Columbus's history. Okay, because there's a lot that people don't understand that have been twisted for many years now about the history of Columbus, and they're just antagonizing the Italian culture, the Italian people of the United States of America, and this is the same thing with everything else in the history books in the United States. You have revisionists that are trying to change our history. And so far, they've been unsuccessful, but they're still trying to tear down those statues, tear down those books, change the things that are in museums. As you can see, that this particular president is trying to fix what is wrong in the Smithsonian, and basically he's getting criticized for that, but by trying to get things that are correct to the history books, where it's been turned around, twisted. And you have these folk or fake, however you want to call it, scientists and doctorates that, claim that they know what they know, but, they're just charlatans. But nevertheless, and we're going to be slamming on New York today. Basically, we got two stories from New York on there, but we're going to start off with this. But before we get into this story on New York suing social media, just want to take this moment to thank you all. Thank you for those of you who have subscribed, like, share, and of course, dropped a comment on our channel here. We are currently, at the time of this recording, 1417. I think we were 1418 at one point. But, the shenanigans that goes on YouTube, you can't stop these things. But once again, thank you very much. Also, remember, we do have a merch shop over at shopcuticast.com. We are currently running a 10% off purchase on there. VPN 10 is the promo code currently right now. I think we will be expanding it after I think it ends the 14th, but I think we're going to expand it to the rest of the month. We're going to be working on that as soon as possible. Also, for those of you who get our news on X on there, we are expanding on X. We'll be doing live streams on X, and we'll be putting up shows on X. So do check us out there as well. So let's get into this. New York City government sues social media companies. This is out of AVN. Not shocked that this was going to happen. This has always been in the lurking in the books on there. I think Letitia James is behind this. Would not be surprised because it is from the Southern District of New York. The government of New York City, the citywide school district, and its healthcare system today sued the parent companies of social media platforms for allegedly fueling a mental health crisis among the city's minors by addicting them to social media. Now, before we go any further, and it's mentioned in this article, right now, currently, there is no scientific study, even though they say there is, no proper scientific study that says that social media is addicting, or that basically it causes a mental health crisis. Filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, the 327-page long suit seeks damages from Meta Platforms, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, Alphabet, the parent company of YouTube and Google, Snap Incorporated, the parent couple of Snapchat, and TikTok owner ByteDance, which that's going to be changing soon. Central to this complaint is the argument that social media was designed to be addictive. There is a lack of scientific consensus surrounding social media addiction. The American Psychiatric Association Diagnostics and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, doesn't currently list any social media addiction as a mental disorder. And it doesn't list porn either. And many other things. Gaming and, television violence. As AVN has previously reported, this draws from parallels to the claims that pornography is addictive. Again, no diagnosis exists for the pornographic addiction, as scientific consensus around such a claim is lacking. Some critics consider pornography addiction to be just simple a pseudoscience lacking a medical basis, which is true. However, the suit by New York City is the latest of over 2,000 similar lawsuits currently in multi-district litigation at a federal court level in Oakland, California. Of all the plaintiffs suing technology companies behind the major social media and tech platforms, New York is the largest with the population nearly 8.5 million. Defendants should be held to account for the harms of their conduct has inflicted, the city explained in the complaint. As it stands now, plaintiffs are left abate the nuisance and foot the bill. Social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram are popular tools for marketing among young adult content creators, producers, and studios. YouTube has seen many adult content creators and performers turned into video and audio podcasting and sharing safe for work videos as part of their wider media portfolios. Now, here's where we can diverge into several parts of this. And we've said this before. Besides that, this is going to fall under Section 230, and I don't know how it's going to go further to this. The thing is, there is a portion that if a company knowingly decides to push a narrative to the situation like TikTok has. Like TikTok, we've seen this before with these weird challenges and stuff like that. If they are held accountable for that, that's something a little bit different off to the side. How would that listed? That, I'm not a lawyer, that legal lawyers would have to do on that. Addiction, no. So the thing with this is another way that politicians have been trying to take control of media for the longest, going way back. I mean, you can go to the 80s and you can even go further back than that. There's always been a situation where government has interfered to the point where they've had these Senate subcommittee hearings, trying to push, laws. I mean, we lost Saturday morning cartoons because of what, some of the things that they pushed. They said, well, we don't have enough education in Saturday morning cartoons. We should get rid of it all and just put up all just educational shows. What? There was education on there. I guess they never saw Schoolhouse Rock. They never saw any of the intermediate commercials in between shows. Or some of the action ones that had messages like G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle, to that point. I grew up with a lot of education all around me as far as television. I grew up with Sesame Street. I grew up with Electric Company, Zoom, 321 Contact, all the shows that went on, the Wild Kingdom and the Wonderful World of Disney that had their educational nature shows, on Sunday nights. And like I said, the Saturday morning cartoons, we had, we were taught things onto there. We even talked to how to eat right, how to, know our wordings and language and all that throughout all these TV shows on all the networks. Then, of course, they started going after the music lyrics. They tried to sue one group because basically two people decided to self-delete themselves, and they try to blame it on the music. Not surprisingly, this happens a lot, even today. Today they blame the anime. And then, of course, you have situations with TV violence and video game violence, claiming that this is the point where, that things that happen around us where children are involved is all this media's fault. No, it's basically everyone has to take responsibility for their actions. You only will do things because you decide to do it. When will these politicians learn that this is the situation? Yes, we do have a mental health crisis in this country, and it has nothing to do with the entertainment media machine that goes on, whether it's on the internet, whether it's on a video game, whether it's the music you're listening to, the TV show or movie you're watching, the book you are reading. It's none of that. People, even children, have emotional issues. And there are those who are out there that will take advantage of the situation. And have. You have situations now in the school that are trying to push kids, with, they're trying to push sex in schools, LGBTQRA, whatever you want to call it, in the schools, trans issues and stuff like that. Leave the kids alone. They said, well, they question themselves. Kids always have questions. I had questions when I was a kid. Doesn't mean I'm a woman, in a man's body, and that doesn't mean that. It means basically I have questions. Life has questions. We continue to ask questions in life all the way till we meet our maker. And probably when we meet our maker, we're going to have a lot of questions for him also, him or her, or whatever you want to, however you want to call that deity in the sky, that basically everybody says is and is not there. But the thing is that you have those that are being brainwashed out there by schools. You're not going after the teachers, the education levels, or sometimes the parenting or those around them to this situation. You allowed to fuel situations where people are emotionally, some emotionally unstable more than others. Parents, need to take helm of their children. There are those who are in single parent homes. This is one of the major problems in this country right now, is that we have single parent homes where there may be 1 to about 4 or 5 children living in it. And basically the parent might be, especially if they're a woman, that she may have 1 to 2 jobs that she's doing. She has no control of her children, or she lacks to control her children. And we've seen this on YouTube videos and stuff like that, where basically the parent does, the mother doesn't care to the situation. That basically the child is doing bad things, or screaming and yelling and cursing and stuff like that. If I did any of the stuff that the kids pulled today, my mom would spank me. Yes, corporal punishment, spanking. I wouldn't dare to say a bad word in front of my mother when I was a kid. I love my family. Love my mom and dad. My mom and dad were separated at one point, but we still had the big family. And this is what there are those out there that want to get rid of. They want to get rid of the nuclear family. It causes emotional stress upon kids. Kids need a mother and a father. It's plain and simple. They need proper direction. But unfortunately, they just want to blame the device. They want to blame something that's inanimate, that has nothing to do with the situation. Now, you may, like I said, you talk about the TikTok challenges and all that. That's just a chunk of the situation. They say, well, they see that on there. Well, if they didn't have, they need to have guidance in order to say, no, you shouldn't do that. You got kids that are right here in New York that are, on the top of what they call subway surfing. We just lost 2 more girls, mind you, this time around, to that, basically something that should be taken care of by the parents, the schools, and also the MTA needs to beef up their security features on their subways. Meanwhile, they're pumping money into things that they shouldn't be grabbing now until they fix everything in the subways. They're going to be raising the fares soon. But these kids continue to die on their watch. And there are those who are stealing their trains, mind you. There's no security into that point. That's another major issue. And the thing about it is, kids out of school, running around, causing situations. Went back in, when I was out of trade school. I remember there was still, I don't even know if they still exist, the truant officers. They had a division of police that were basically just basically for the schools. Went after looking for kids at arcades, at places where they would be hanging out all the time, or where they shouldn't be there. So another frivolous lawsuit out of New York. New York needs to change. We're hoping, we got the mayoral elections just coming up in November. We hope that Curtis Sliwa wins that. A lot of people are saying, oh, Mondami's going to win. You're going to have a social. I said, don't trust the polls. If you want Curtis Sliwa to be the next mayor of New York, get out and vote. Don't be afraid to vote. Get out there, vote. Tell them that you want to see change in New York for the better. The last time, and I'll tell you this, the last time we had a better and safer New York was when a Republican was in the mayor's office and in the governor's office as well. And that's during the Giuliani era. New York was safer with him at the helm. Crime was down. New York was cleaning up. People were visiting New York in droves. Basically, our taxes were, was at a balanced level that was affordable. Housing was affordable. The homelessness was basically being tackled upon to that point. It was, things were getting done. So remember who cleaned up New York and who is destroying New York. Remember that in the fold. It's for those of you in New York, get out, get the vote in. What I need you to do next is to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts about this lawsuit that's on there. If this is just all smoke and mirrors to the point, and all this bullshit that they keep putting up every once in a while to that point, we'll go like this for now, and then another 20 more years we'll start over again with all these lawsuits and add something else to it. So comment, like, share, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next video. Check out tomorrow, Sci-Fi Snob, 11 p.m. Babylon 5 retrospective. It's a good one. It's Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern. Do check it out. I will be in the chat. Obviously, they will have special guest panelists as usual. And have a good one. Have a good week, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.